All right, here we are, ladies. We're at Gabbin with Grandma's again, and we have a whole different studio. We want to thank the church at Grace Baptist Church and Pastor Billy and his wife Lauren for setting us up. And we've got a new sound system and a new staging and all kinds of good stuff. So we're ready to gab, and we are right in the middle of Pride Month. Just go ahead and throw it out there. And there's all kinds of things going on. And so, who wants to get us started with Gabbin with Grandma's? I left the tambourine just in case you want, you want to lead us off. So we've got some new people. Judy's with us today. Judy, you want to tell everybody who you are and your past life, what you used to do?
What I used to do? Okay, my name is Judy. I'm retired now, but in the past I've done printing at a printing company here in town, and was laid off there, and then went back to school and went into banking.
Oh, okay.
So I just retired from banking. So, and I've got a new granddaughter, so that's going to be fun.
Mm.
She's only a month old, so
okay.
She's new.
Oh, so she hadn't got to where she talks back yet.
Not yet, but she loves her Lolly. That's me.
Lolly.
That's me.
Did you pick your name?
I did.
Oh, how'd you come up with that name?
Well, there was a girl I worked with. Heard her husband came up with the name Oma and Opa. And I was like, where did she get that? So I looked it up. And then as I was looking it up, they had all these other little pairs of names down to Lolly and Pop. Because some people already call my husband Pop. So it worked.
So a lot of people are choosing now to not be called Grandma, and
I don't like
because we're very young at our age now.
I didn't want to be a granny.
You didn't want to be a granny.
I didn't
That's
want to
right.
be a granny.
older.
Right.
That's right. All
And
right.
I am the granny because Daniel's son, Daniel had Granny, and he always grew up with Granny and Papa living next door to us. So he wanted Granny and Papa for us. So I'm good with that.
All right. So how do y'all feel about Pride Month? What's your thoughts? Go ahead and throw it out there.
I don't like it.
I would notice we have the flag, the Christian flag and the American flag, because 4th of July is coming up. And this thing that they tell us that you have to have separation between church and state is a lie. Mm-hmm. And we have something to say about what's going on. So chime in.
I don't like the Pride Month. I think, if they want to have a day, okay, I can handle a day. Memorial Day, Veterans Day. Do they get a month? No, they get one day. And to me, Memorial Day and Veterans Day is a whole lot more important than Pride Day.
Yeah. And it's not really about the person as an individual, because I know that each one of us have had some type of personal ministry that would touch someone in an alternative lifestyle. That's not just that one, but where people are trapped in other types of things. It may be even abusive relationships that are heterosexual. Mm-hmm. We've all had some type of ministry where we're trying to help with someone because we love people. Mm-hmm. But we get labeled as these meanies that just won't let people do whatever they want to. Mm-hmm. Well, I love my child. I'm not going to let her run out in the road out there. That's not loving, to let someone just hurt themselves or hurt others. Mm-hmm. So what's your thoughts? You used to be in California where some of this stuff is waving this way.
Yeah, well, I don't agree with it. It's not that I don't love people that live that lifestyle. That's everybody, well, not everybody, I don't want to say everybody, but there are people that think that Christians, all we want to do is, condemn you and ridicule you. That's not it. We just want to let you know this is what is written in the Bible, and this is what we believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that we don't love you or we don't like you, but I personally do not feel that I need to change how I talk and what I feel because of what you feel. Just like you.
That's not freedom, right?
Yeah, you don't have to like what I like.
That's right.
That's part of being an American. We're free to have our different opinions and likes and dislikes.
Mm-hmm.
But for them, it feels, and correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like people, and not all the people in that community, want to shove this down my throat because this is the way they feel. And if you don't feel like that, you're a racist or you're homophobic.
But isn't that
or
the
whatever.
intimidation tactic?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the
just-
way.
That's being a big bully.
Yeah.
That's just being a bully.
I'm gonna put us on a timer so we know exactly when to start winding down here.
And I think, I mean, just reading stuff, you know, the gays and the lesbians, they're not for all this transgender stuff. You know, it's hurting the pride, you know, that they've worked hard to get, you know, where they're not discriminated against. And
Mhm.
I have had what I call friends, and I knew they, you know, were either gay or lesbian.
Mhm.
But I talk to them and I treat them just like I do anybody else. But they don't try to throw it up in my face and say, you know, what you believe is wrong, you got to believe what we do. Everybody has a right to believe what they believe, you know, and you got to treat people right.
Mhm.
You know, you're not going to win anybody over to Christ if you're bullying them,
Right.
you know.
We have my husband's half brother. He's gay and he's been in a long-term relationship with one person, and we love them and we talk to them. And when we were in South Carolina, Hannah was smaller, and Hannah, she talks for herself. She speaks up for herself. If something's wrong, she's going to tell you. So we went to dinner at Christmas, and so they went in. She went into the bathroom and she came back and she whispered in my ear and says, "Mommy, you have to come in here." So I go in the bathroom, and on the bathroom wall, and this is the hall bathroom for everybody, and they've gotten so used to it, they didn't think to change the house a little bit for a kid to be there. So on the bathroom wall is a half-naked guy, and he's toweling off, and then on there's a statue that's very inappropriate on the back of the toilet. And she looks at me, and she points to that picture and goes, "Mommy, do they not know that a child is going to be in here? Good grief. Can they not believe that this is a child?" So she went and told her Uncle Rick. And I said, "Well, look, I'm going to PG that bathroom up." I put it in the shower. I put the other thing. I said, "Hannah, you go to a different bathroom." But once you've lived in it so long, you don't even realize. It's like any trap of a sin. Mm-hmm. When you've lived in it a long time, you don't even realize what that is doing out there, what that is feeding, what that's telling other people. What you got to say, Judy? You nodding over there?
I was just thinking about, we have a family member, it's my husband's cousin, and all the years that we were ever around him or anything, we kind of suspected that he was homosexual, but it was never spoke of. Like, his mom did not speak of it. We didn't just like flat out ask. But like you were saying about your person, he married his partner, and you know, they live in Ohio, and recently, you know, we've had a death in the family, so of course he was there, not his partner, but he was there, and you know, we love him just the same. He's family, but you know, we just do not, you know, condone, you know, I mean, we do not agree with that lifestyle.
And see, that's the thing. You're allowing him to make his own choice. We're not trying to say you can't have a choice. We're just saying don't involve our children. Our children don't need to be talking about blockers and hormone things. They don't need to see that on the White House there are people that have transitioned with their tops off. Did y'all see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Wasn't
mean-
he banned from
Huh?
the White House after that?
Yeah,
They
they said
banned
he
that
wasn't going to be
person.
invited again.
Yeah.
Duh. Yeah, but it only
So-
takes one time.
So I guess
now
the
it's out
White
on the
House is
internet.
okay with all this
The president
pride
was
stuff,
right there.
but they weren't okay with that.
They weren't ready
But
for
if we
that.
had a Christian rally, now that's why we have these two flags. If we had a Christian rally saying that we want the life of children to matter, this president would not even show up. But there he was, front and center. That's what makes you mad. That's the part that gets your blood boiling. And we as Christians, we generally are pretty nice. Generally, we're pretty nice. We go along, get along, we love people where they are. We understand that God does a work with there, but by the grace of God go I, that kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. But how that, at this time, we're being called for a place of boldness right now. We're being called to be bold. So, in your estimation, what is it like for you to be bold when you know that you're going to get some very vile things? I'll tell y'all about some later on Facebook with me, but what does it make you want to do when you know that if you stand up, like we're standing up right now, there's going to be some trolls that will say things, and we'll end up talking about God at the end, and they'll hear that. So hopefully they'll stick around. But what do you do when it comes to those intimidating times in your own walks? Have you experienced that?
I really haven't experienced it, in which, we say in our connection group every Sunday, it's coming. The time is coming when we as Christians are going to have to be bold. Mm-hmm. And it's like we said, we've got to put on that armor of God. Mm-hmm. And we've got to be a warrior. And we've got to stay strong in our faith. And we've got to, show people there is another thing. We're not mean people, We love everybody. Mm-hmm. It's like Maria and I in our previous jobs.
Which was 911 and police officer. Yes, for everybody.
Would we have ever got in that if we didn't want to help people? And we wouldn't have not helped somebody because they didn't agree with my biblical views. I think we're just going to have to stand up, because I think as Christians we've sat back and been quiet because we didn't want to come across as being ugly and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, in the Bible it says there's going to be a time that we're going to be persecuted. And we have to be ready for that. And we have to, we've got to let people know that there's another answer. God is the answer, that you have to have that hope and that fear of God. Because,
the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord.
That's what Dr. Cox always tells us,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I pray every day for this country and our leaders, that they will, fear God, and which will bring about wisdom, because this country's going down quick.
And persecution is already here.
Yeah, I know.
You see it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, they have it out in LA, in California, where they have Sisters of Perpetual.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know what the whole name is, but
did you see the video?
Dodgers, I guess, initially said no, we're not going to have you. Then they probably got
they said they would. Then they got heat. Then they told them no. And then they got heat, and then they took it back.
And they outwardly mock Catholics.
It's not.
And I grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
And I don't care if I'm not Catholic, that's still offensive to me. So they're more worried about offending people that are a very small percentage than offending other people. It's okay to offend Christians and Catholics and anybody that has their faith, but don't offend transgender or whatever community that they happen to fall into. But there are, and you see it, which I'm so glad to see it. You see now there's baseball players that are coming out and says, you cannot mock my God. Mm-hmm. And I won't do it. And I thought, thank goodness, people are starting to come out. And they had people out in the parking lot protesting against what was going on. And the Dodgers, 40 minutes, how I understand it, 40 minutes before the game started is when they gave the sisters their award for being so brave, whatever it was. And there was hardly anybody in there.
Doesn't that make you mad?
And then, so their attendance was down from how I understand. They still had people go to the game, but their attendance was down, which I love if people stood up, especially people that say they're Christian or Catholic or whatever it is, to stand up.
It was not just a mocking. It was Sodom and Gomorrah. They were actually doing strip tease dances on Jesus on the cross.
Yeah, they've
It was
done that.
disgusting. Disgusting what they were doing. That would, I mean, the men that fought and died for us in this country and women, I just can't imagine what that must be like for them. Were y'all in the military? Anybody?
No.
But you
Our
were police,
husbands
you were in the military. Do they talk about this kind of thing? What kind of things do they say?
He does not like it. He is more passionate about it than I am. I try and not be so overcome. I don't want to dwell on it so much, but he's just so upset about how the military, because our son is in the Army. So
Yeah, but if you don't
doesn't
get
like that.
angry, you can't
Yeah.
call it out. There's a righteous anger that we can have. The Bible says, "Be angry and don't sin." You know. So what do you? We still have, what is it? The 20. We just have a few more days of the.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. I heard that Ford actually went woke. So now there's people shooting up their Fords in the field. I mean, some are really going
Yeah.
radical, but at the same time, they're really mad. And then I read an article yesterday that said if abortion could have saved over 200,000 babies, if just the people who went to church one time a week would stop having abortions. So we have all these problems are actually in the church. They have infiltrated in the church. They are in the leadership. They are making policies and things like that. I was really pleased with my web developer that does my web. Oh my goodness, I started getting emails that said my gender, my pronouns are blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my goodness, all of our leads come through that one source. This is going to be a problem. And they had the colors. Well, after what happened with Dylan Mulvaney, I started noticing the emails, they took all that down. And the people that I talk to, they always use words like, we're so glad to have you as customer, ma'am. Ma'am, they actually assume my gender on the phone, so I know that they're not liberal because they don't want any assumptions of gender and all that kind of thing. And now they've come up with genders of she, ja, jer, all these kind of things. And how are we supposed to keep that straight? God is not the author of confusion, but boy, I'm confused when I try to walk down that road and use all those letters and all that kind of
The
stuff.
devil has his hold on.
Yeah, the
All
devil
these
is
people.
running rampant.
Yeah.
I mean, if y'all don't think he's alive and working, just turn on the news.
There
That's right.
was a singer, Demi Lovato.
Oh, yeah, she's
That
fluid.
changed. Yeah, that she's changed to,
Praise.
she had her pronouns. She stopped doing that because it was so confusing.
Yeah, but
If
that
you
was
think
after.
it's confusing to you, it's confusing to all of us.
Yeah, but if you notice, though, she also did a video or a picture where she's laying on a bed that's shaped like a cross, and she's all in demonic attire. I mean, so you've got to ask yourself, when you can go that far to mock Christ, only the demonic level can do that.
They've sold their soul.
Yeah.
They want
Whew.
this popularity and this success so badly that they're willing to sell.
Well, the truth is, it wasn't theirs to begin with. They didn't have the power to sell it. They had the power to surrender. And the cross, I want everybody to hear this that's seeking or whatever. The cross can undo any blood or soul tie you have made with the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Because the devil was created. And he is not higher than God. He never will be.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks he is. All you have to do is say, in the name of Jesus, I renounce Satan. And it's done. It's over with. You don't have to die in that sin. You can change that. But on the other side, that doesn't work. There's no freedom on the other side. And so I am concerned about our children. You know, I have a child. She's 12. The culture she's growing up in, what it is producing, though, is producing little evangelist.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's on TikTok and saying, she did one last night, she said, I want you to know that Jesus loves you so much. There's nothing you can do that will make him stop loving you. And she was just on there just preaching. This little 12-year-old. So there's a lot of that going on too. There's a lot of good.
there's a lot of these. As a matter of fact, I think it was middle school.
Yes.
They were having
They
this
did.
Pride Week, and they wanted them to wear these colors, and the kids were like, no, they wore red, white, and blue, and they were saying, my pronouns are USA. And I thought, wow,
USA.
middle school, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to take that generation, to see that evil and do something about it. I mean, yes, we've got to too. I mean, just because we're grandmas doesn't mean that we can step back and say, oh, well, it's okay. It's not okay. We got to stand up for what is right. And there's two genders. Man and woman.
Go
That's
ahead and
it.
say it. That's true.
I mean, I'm
Man
sorry,
and
but that's
woman.
it.
He created them male and female. That was it.
I don't care what you want to,
All this-
pronoun you want to use, or
All this words of gender is a construct, and all these confounding words are just ridiculous. This gibberish at the end of it. Gender is not a construct. It's you got this part or that part. That's it. There's no confusion there.
And I think what bothers me more than anything about all of this is leave our children alone. There's a child in elementary school, or they're not going to know if they want to be a boy or a girl. Or when I was growing up,
They wanted to be Superman the previous week.
yeah,
I want to be a
growing up,
cowboy
you got
and an
out-
Indian.
You got outside and you played with the boys, and you was just as rough and tough as they were. But did I think I wanted to be a boy? No. I just don't understand it, I guess.
Well, if you understand it, you become it, and you
Yeah.
can't stand up against it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we have to stand up against it.
Yeah.
And it's like I think most of us agree. We were okay before they started messing with our children. I mean, nobody messes with our children or our grandchildren,
If you want to live this lifestyle, who am I to say you can't? If they want
It's
to live
America.
the lifestyle, then
It's America.
you can live your lifestyle. But I don't think you should go into the schools and indoctrinate the kids.
We can't give them a Bible.
Yeah.
We've been totally locked out of the schools, but they can do that. What sense does that make?
That's just, I don't agree with that. And there are a lot of parents, God bless them, that are standing up and seeing what they're doing. And as a matter of fact, I saw one, I think it was last night, that it was a Muslim and a Jewish gentleman. And they were parents, and they were standing together because their children, this is going on at their children's school, and they were standing up together, which I thought that was a great thing to see.
Well, we
People
are,
standing up for common cause like
yes, we are fortunate in Tennessee, and I'm going to tell you a law that they just passed. Did you read these? You look at them? Let me show you.
I always try to, when they say, hey, these are all starting, I like to kind of go over and see what is changing.
Yep, let's see. So let me see what I got here. That one was funny. I'll tell you about that one in a minute. Okay, so what they do is they put out these laws that are going to come into effect, and this will be Saturday. And I think it's good that it's coming out right here at 4th of July and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's about Raspberry Pi. I don't want to know about Raspberry Pi. I know it. Okay. Okay, so this one, law, let me see. Bear with me a minute here. Y'all talk amongst yourselves while I figure this out here. Okay, let me go to this one. Well, there was one good one I did like that. This law is called the Silas-Gable Flat Law. It's on something different. It says this law makes it an offense for someone to knowingly provide as a motor vehicle to someone under the influence or any intoxicant or whose driver's license has been suspended or revoked under certain circumstances. Anybody who does so would be committing a Class C misdemeanor. A first offense would warrant a minimum of 48 hours. So is that something that what do they do in California with that? Like if you give someone a vehicle and you know they're intoxicated, is there any?
Well, nothing happens if they get home.
Then nothing happens.
But I'm sure, since I've been out of it for a while, if that person, if I loan my car to Judy and she goes out and she's drunk and I know she's drunk and I loan it to her anyway and she goes out and kills somebody, I'm sure it's going to come back to me.
This is registered to you.
Yeah, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's her car and I said, no, you're not going to have the keys. Well, go ahead.
Yeah.
And she comes across and in her statement, she says, well, Maria had my keys, but she gave them to me.
Ooh, okay.
I could be financially in trouble
Wow.
from whoever the family that was killed
Okay.
could come after me. And maybe, depending on who the DA is, they'd come after me too.
Oh, okay.
Because
So,
had I not given her keys, she would have never driven.
so we have to take care of each other. Yeah. So this one deals with the higher education, okay, and we're talking about the pride thing, okay. It says this law prohibits institutions of higher education from showing bias or favoritism for or against student groups peacefully protesting, guest speakers' points of view, or a student group who request a guest speaker to come to that institution, because they've been blocking conservatives. So, and they've been really mean to them, like the ones that are pro-choice and all that.
Points.
Yeah. Additionally, the school, now this is only Tennessee so far. Additionally, the school will be prohibited from requiring students to pay fees or security deposits that are not charged to all student groups, or deny any student groups access to school property if that property is typically used for similar purposes. In other words, what they've been doing evidently is if it's one they don't like, they'll charge them in hopes to deter them. Further, the law states this is one I really liked. Universities are prohibited from requiring applicants for employment or admission to submit a personal diversity statement. That means they no longer have to submit a personal diversity statement. That's huge. You know what that means? That means basically you don't get hired there unless you say, I agree with all that's going on with the pride.
So is higher education, they're talking to colleges?
Yeah, colleges. But that's okay, because then it says diversity statement, or to agree with any institutional diversity statement as part of the application or admission process. Finally, the law states that the university shall not use state funds, fees, or dues, or any money for meetings, membership, or activity of any organization if participants in such organization require the individual or the individual's employer to endorse or promote the diversity concepts. So basically they're saying that you can't get state money, you can't get government money, you can't take dues from people if you are also supporting or endorsing people that do that. So you pulls that funding away. That's the way you begin to deal with that kind of thing. Now this is another, talking about our children. Prohibiting sale, I don't even have to read this one. Prohibits the sale of tattoo and piercing materials for minors. So now they have blocked it. We've already taken in Tennessee. I'm so proud of Tennessee, Governor Lee. When he found out with Matt Walsh that they were mutilating children and doing this at Vanderbilt, he immediately blocked that. So he did a good thing. So now they're saying that you can't, even as a minor, get a tattoo or a piercing. Now, I know that there's some people that they don't see anything wrong with that, but as a minor, if you go as a crazy thing and you go get a tattoo for the rest of your life, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a tattoo, but when you're a child, we don't know what your life, what you're going to be when you grow up. We were talking about this with Hannah the other day. And she said, well, Mommy, if it's just like a little scripture or something, I said, honey, you don't know what kind of job you're going to have in the future. When I worked at the bank, you had to put makeup on it. You couldn't have visible tattoos. You don't know where this is going to snap back to. And just because it's a scripture, it still might not be allowed. And it might not be allowed because it is a scripture. But it's a marring of the body, and it's a form of cutting, basically. So, what are y'all's thoughts on taking care of men? It's not a big deal. Is what I'm saying. But when you're a child.
Now, when my daughters have tattoos, and they wanted to get them when they're young, and I said, absolutely not.
Yeah. Why did you say yeah?
Because I figured, when you're 18, when you're an adult, you can decide for yourself. And she did come up to me, my youngest, and I said, let me tell you this, because she worked for Disneyland at the time. Mm-hmm. And I said, you need to be very careful where you put that, because they don't allow that. Mm. And I said, even if you didn't, there are some businesses that do not allow or don't want to see that. So you're going to have to put it someplace where it can't be seen if you wear a short sleeve shirt or something.
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying. I said, and be very cognizant of what you put on your body.
Mm.
If
Yeah, because
that's what you want
it's
to
your
do,
statement forever.
that's not coming off.
Mm.
Because I remember when I worked at the school, and I don't know how it came to me, but the young lady came to me. Apparently, she got a tattoo without her parents' consent, which at the time, I don't know if it still is, but it can't do that. Can't do that. So she had it, and I asked her, well, show it to me. So she showed it to me. I said, girl, I said, that is the most awful tattoo I've ever seen in my life.
What was
And
it?
I don't know what it was, but it looked like the guy just went like this and made
Oh, you mean like the artwork of it?
dots.
Oh.
Dots, like, when you take a pen and you do dots, and it kind of looks like a happy face. It
Bingo.
was awful.
Oh.
It was awful.
You think she got scammed?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
He didn't know what he was doing. He obviously took her money, and it was just some guy that, I guess, a friend of a friend of a friend. And I'm thinking, she has to live with that the rest of her life. It was on her arm or something.
Mm.
And it wasn't small, it was pretty big.
Well, there's a, they've been talking a lot about the sex trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lady out there that she's like she removes tattoos and removes scars and things like that. That's what she does. And so she's offering her free services because when they take these kids into sex trafficking, they mark them.
Yeah.
And so she's helping them to have that removed so they can have freedom
Yeah, 'cause
without
that's a
that
reminder.
marking.
A
Yeah.
reminder of what they've been through.
Yeah. Wow. So what do y'all think about have you been watching about that movie that's going to come out with Jim Caviezel?
I have tickets already.
You have tickets already?
Yeah.
Not familiar with that.
Okay. You know about that movie? Okay. You want to tell Judy so everybody else can know too?
You probably know more about it than I do.
Well, what do you know? What have you heard?
I really haven't heard a lot. I mean, I just heard it, and I haven't actually clicked on it to read what it is and stuff. So I really don't know. I mean, I know of it, but I don't know.
We've seen Tim Ballard is, I guess he used to be in the military.
He was CIA, yeah, military,
CIA,
yeah.
Special force thing. We saw him several years at a convention that we went to, and found out about his Underground Railroad type of.
Operation
Foundation.
Underground. Yeah, yeah.
And so we've been giving him money since. It's been a while since we first saw him and heard about this, that we wanted to get involved. And so this is a story of his life and what he went through. I guess he saved a young girl and a young boy, brother and sister. But it's his story because he came out of what he was doing to do this.
Right. Well,
So-
the story is that he worked for the CIA and he wanted to rescue some kids in sex trafficking in another country, but because of the red tape, they wouldn't let him. So he got with some other people and figured out how to do a sting operation without their permission. He basically left, and then he has supporters like even Elon Musk has stepped up now because they go in and act like they're going to buy these kids, and these are parties with drugs and all these things, and they go and they buy them, and they go and rescue them. But he did it so long that he couldn't do it anymore because some of these little kids would come up and say, "Are you going to give me some cocaine? Because I'm always scared." So Jim Caviezel is playing the role of Tim Ballard. And he's been in on some of these operations to see what they're doing. And he said the other day, it's becoming the biggest market. He said, because you can sell cocaine once, but you can sell a child 30 times in 24 hours. You can sell a child over and over and over. And they keep them on drugs, and they keep them in fear. Yeah, it is. It really is. But this movie is going to expose all of that. And I don't know how people will watch this movie and just walk away the same.
When is it?
It's
July
coming out
4th.
July 4th, but the tickets that we have are July 3rd.
Are they? Oh, is it
Because I didn't
preview?
want to have it on July 4th.
Yeah, he actually lays out that Epstein Island is not the only island this is happening on, which is going to be a big shocker for people.
When this comes out, there's a lot of people, how I gather, in Hollywood, politicians, big businesses that have been doing this for years, and they will be exposed.
We are they said they did an interview, we are the number one purchaser, and Mexico is the number one seller. So that tells us why the border is in the fit that it's in. And these people, these kids are just lost, but they're not
American
lost.
people don't realize what a big deal this border is, because that's where we're getting all these drugs. That's where we're getting all this child trafficking, and some people just don't care.
And see, as Christians, if we put our head in the sand and say this is just too terrible, I can't deal with it. That's one thing that gets me, is when somebody's been abused and they begin to get free and tell their story. Other people are like, oh, I can't hear it, I can't hear it. Well, they lived
have
it.
to hear it.
They lived it, and you giving them your ears is a way to give them love. Because if you can hear their story and sit with them and still love them, accept them, and see them as unique and wonderful, it means everything. But if you turn away, then you rejected them and you made them feel like they were the sin. They were the ones that committed it when they had nothing to do with it.
And sometimes all they need is somebody to listen. They've got to get it out. And if you have the privilege of being the one that they want to talk to, we need to listen.
The
Pray with
privilege.
them.
The privilege. That's right. We don't see it as a privilege.
I mean, if somebody came up to me and said, hey, can I talk to you? I've been whatever. I'm going to sit there and listen, and then I'm going to pray with them, whether they're Christian or not.
Yeah, you're not going to tell them, oh,
No,
I don't
I
want to
don't-
listen to this.
No,
because-
people
well, that's
do that.
going to be too much.
Yeah. Well, there are people that do that because they can't handle it, they think. But isn't that part of the problem? Because we're not supposed to be of this world, but we are supposed to be light in this world. And if we're living in such a way that draws someone who's broken to us, isn't that what it's really about?
Are we not supposed to minister to everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if we turn that person down, what if they went and committed suicide or something? And I wouldn't want to feel like, maybe if I had listened to that person. I'm going to listen. I may not have any answers, but I can listen to them and I can give them a hug, if nothing else,
Yeah.
Because to me, support, the support from people means a whole lot. If you got support from somebody, even if it's one person, that gives them a little bit of encouragement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody needs that.
And as this world gets darker, our light shines brighter.
Yes.
So as we close this episode, we have a massive amount of news right here that I want to share with everybody. Did you know that Sevierville just opened the largest Buc-ee's in the whole United States?
Really?
Or the whole world?
Right
Yes,
now.
right here.
They're doing it right now, but then they're fixing to open a bigger one in Texas. Of course, Texas have to do it.
So we got a road trip where we want to go to see the Amish grocery store and Sevierville, and they're all on the same direction. So we need to get us an Airbnb in that direction and just stay and do a Gabbin with Grandma's there. Take Lauren with us.
Yeah.
How about that?
Sounds
Lauren,
good.
how's that sound? That sounds good. All right. We'll make beautiful broken Kelsey pay for it. All right. So, okay, we're going to break for today. Y'all just say bye. Bye.